So hi everyone, welcome to Openmaking webinar. I'm Samir Singh Jaini. I'm the founder and CEO of the Digital Fifth, and I have my co-founder Shashank here. Yeah. So what we will do is between two of us, we'll take you through the whole Openmaking journey. We'll spend initial 10-15 minutes or maybe around that time on Openmaking ecosystem in the country. We'll also talk about few lists which we have created. And we will move towards then Shashank will take a session purely on the how such strategy is created, what is the impact, what should we do to build this ecosystem. Then we'll move shortly to a closure session on what all we are offering there. And then we will move into Q&A session. So I believe that around 35 minutes odd, we should be done with the session and we'll take Q&A. And I'm really requesting you to be ready with Q&A because finally the point is that you are in this session primarily to learn something new. And from this side, only maybe sometimes you would think it's only theories coming out. So it's useful if you ask real questions, we will actually try to ensure that those questions get answered for sure. So with this, we start right now.
Yes, Amir, yeah.
Yeah, so just to give you a background of this company, we have been almost 3-year-old in the ecosystem, the Digital Fifth. We are perhaps the largest, maybe the oldest and the largest, obviously, from a consulting perspective, entity which is focused only on fintech. So we don't do anything beyond that fintech, open banking, digital side of BFSI. So we only do digital stuff. We do only focus on BFSI, and we only sort of focus only on open banking and neo banking kind of stuff. So we do nothing else. We have around 10-member team, and we just don't do anything else. So that makes us very, very sharply focused on one in single framework. And a lot of people ask why the name, the Digital Fifth. The answer is simple. We were thinking what we are building, and we realized that we are creating a simplified, maybe more maybe nimble, simple, and real avatar or alternative to Big Four, and that's why it's called the Digital Fifth. So here we are offering 3 services. We work a lot on the consulting side. A lot of times we have worked with startups to sort of take them ground up. We have by now worked with something like four neobanks in various avatars. Start from a strategy to planning to go-to-market strategy. All of them we have worked as of now. A lot of lending startups we work with, and we also work with the NPC and certain initiatives in terms of open banking and others, right? So that's one side, consulting. Second is we do a lot of partnerships. So between a startup and a bank, or a startup and maybe a fintech, we do a lot of business together and we bring them into one structure. And perhaps we run maybe the world's largest one-on-one connect frameworks, which is, for example, last month, our team pulled off almost 150 meetings between B2B clients. And we don't do this demo days, we do one-on-one meetings. Also, we run mandates for many, many startups in the country. And we run mandates also for larger institutions for go-to-market or maybe accessing the innovation structures in the country. For example, a large company is looking at fintech partners, they reach out to us and we create a program for them. And we obviously run open banking certification, digital banking certification, and a lot of other certifications as of now. And we have trained almost a good number of fintech CXOs, open banking CXOs, a lot of neo banking founders have been part of our sessions all the time. And also open banking heads, so many banks have been part of our sessions as a participants. And later on, also they have moved on as a trainer as well. And we are launching our 4-month long fintech and open banking course starting in October of this year. So a lot of action ahead of us as we see. And as I said that we are starting our own accelerator. This is in October 2020. And idea is very simple. What we are looking at is any startup, if you guys know, you can obviously refer to us. Shashank, you may actually send a link to them where they can actually do nominations. So we are working with MVP ready fintech startups, primarily looking at a B2B business. Somebody who's building B2B ecosystem or B2B fintech enablers are there, or maybe open banking platforms and deep tech. Anything which is focused on B2B is largely what we are focusing on, which we believe is a key segment of choice for us. And what we'll offer, of course, our personal own time. That's something definitely given. We are going to work with them end to end. We are also going to work on their market access. For example, they need some access to some banks, fintechs, we'll do that. Deep market product knowledge. So we will work with a lot of mentors in the market. We ourselves work and ensure that things happen. Investor access, we are working a lot on that to ensure that they have access so that they can raise funds. And of course, all 3 of us, the third co-founder is, I think, not there today with us today, but all three of us will actually fund these startups as well. So we are not looking.
Shrikant has joined in, so he's there.
Okay, hi Shrikant.
I'm there. Hi.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And submission date for this initiative is 15th of August. So please, if you know somebody in the ecosystem who has to apply, please go ahead and help him out. Shrikant, Shashank, by now you should send a link. I can't see it. Yeah. This is a set of customers we have across government institutions, a lot of embassies we work with, a lot of banks, a lot of fintechs, a lot of AML companies. We also teach in institutions a lot. And of course, we work with a lot of startups in various large and small all. Yeah, so let's move to the core reason why you're here. You basically, what we will do is we'll talk about the fintech ecosystem, which is Openmaking ecosystem which exists. So we'll sort of go layer by layer. So the first layer is the banking API or NBFC API. So what happens is that banks actually think of open banking or neo banking as a new initiative as such, where they sort of can create a separate P&L for it. At least the business segment definitely can be created. And we have seen in the market, ICICI, DBS, or even Northern Arc or a DMI, they're taking a very aggressive stance, very forward-looking stance that they're building their tech stacks in partnership with their business. So it's not a tech, it's actually a business initiative. And we are saying that they're offering their APIs in a structured way to their partners here. And we'll talk about who these partners are. But anyway, whenever you are building your own APIs, there is definitely a mandate from RBI to ensure that it's secure. You offer your own APIs. You need to ensure that your own KYC frameworks are used. Shashank, can you just look at muting people? Then we look at, there's always a dependency on bureaus. So they work with a lot of bureaus as such. So ensuring that, for example, as per the rulings, the scores cannot be given by third party. So in this case, the banks have to, or NBFC have to offer these APIs as a structure to them. Of course, when you do all of that, you have to have data providers as well supporting you. You need India Stack. Without India Stack and networks like Visa and NPCI, you really can't operate any of these open banking frameworks. So these are the dependent structures you have, which is data providers, credit bureaus, networks, and India Stack, which is a sort of supporting structure. Now coming to the next layer, all these banks in the open banking structure have to have a look at how their core banking platforms or other platforms like a loan origin or LMS, which is loan management system, or in some cases treasury, how are they structured? And do they have a full-fledged APIs or not? If not, then they have to work with the partners to ensure that some of those APIs are created and therefore the access can be given. So this is one segment of it, which is core banking platforms and others offering APIs. That's a basic layer on which something can be created. The second is you need to have open API payment gateways, API gateways as such, like a TIPCO or AWS. All of them have to be on a layer on top from which the APIs can be exposed. For sure, there are other systems as well. So I'm not trying to say that there will not be other platforms like even NEFT or RTGS, but framework wise, I'm just saying at a high level, this is what it looks like. So you need to have these API frameworks as well to ensure that the access to your APIs is secure and properly enabled. Otherwise, what happens is that when you do point-to-point connect, a lot of banks, including many years back, I would say two decades back also, we were doing host-to-host connections. But there's always a point-to-point, and we had to look at a lot of time on security side independently. But if you have a great API framework or a gateway, you can actually take care of security. You can actually take care of the commercialization as well. Because at the end of the day, utilization will be primarily on the basis of how the APIs are consumed and how many APIs are consumed. And you need to have a commercial layer to it. It can even, the API gateway also can help you in surviving through some crunch. For example, what if one of the maybe e-commerce giants actually do a sort of like the way they do a billion-day offer. And that time it is the server is under attack, which means that other frameworks, other companies may not be able to use your APIs. So you need to create a robust structure with a lot of capacity and flexibility to upscale and downscale. And to the extent, there's always a discussion which will come. We will not cover it here, that what should be on cloud and what should not be on cloud. But anyway, you need a gateway and you need somebody who can actually build those API frameworks as well. Some development team which is just focused on that. So there are entities like a Katina or a Unicore. These guys can help you in building those APIs. They are smaller smaller players who have a good capacity to build these. And they like the way we don't go beyond digital and fintech and BFSI. They also don't tend to go outside. So at least the API integrator framework, they don't do anything much more. Then you have API stack players. These are the intermediaries who are actually offering literally banking as a service. For example, a Setu, you can actually get a BBPS service quickly, a collection service quickly. Zeta obviously is graduating into new services. When you use Neom, you can actually use Neom for multiple services, including the fact that you can actually do a remittance frameworks end to end with them. So they offer their remittance as a service to others. And of course, we need NBFC account aggregators. So that is something which is, you may have heard a terminology called Sehmati. So NBFC account aggregators basically aggregating all the data on the liability side, which is like deposits, wealth, everything together into one structure. And they're right now integrating multiple entities. And with this data being available, any third-party entity also can be used. So in this structure, maybe the entity which are going to use are at the top level. But the fact of the matter, any bank also can actually use these NBFC account aggregator. This, I think in next 1 year or so, when it comes in full-fledged way, I think the banking world or at least the lending world or even wealth world will change. Today, right now, you are doing only scraping, data scraping to figure this out. That surely we should change it after some time. Of course, we sit in between in the center spot in the sense that we work only on this segment and we do nothing else. So move to the other segments. Let's look at from a usage perspective. You have here retail neobanks like a Neo or a Yellow Bank. These guys are creating a sort of customer access layer, or they're engaging with customer differently, but they're backed by banks. So what they're trying to do is they're offering loans, they're offering deposits, they're offering account or current account or savings. They're offering savings account opening. A lot of them are, for example, I think if I'm not wrong, Walrus got funded, I think today or yesterday. All of them are only in one segment. And of course, with Jupiter entering this segment with a lot of money and including Epify with some very, very serious and top-notch leadership on their side, I think this segment will change a lot. And again, some of them are focusing on the on college students. Some of them are focusing on maybe mid-market. Some of them are focusing on maybe just sort of what do you say, the way Payoneer is focusing. They're focusing more on the tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 kind of cities. Everybody has different segment to look at. Then comes SME neobanks. SME neobanks are focusing primarily, and they're of different variety, right? Some are there only on accounting side right now. They will graduate to the neobank side later. Then there are EZO, which is doing both things as of now. And they're in Bank Open, which has obviously started 3 years back. They have taken a sort of pole position there. And Razorpay and others. So all of them are actually saying that customers don't need only banking business. They need accounting, they need invoicing, they need reconciliation, and they are building their whole bridges exactly in that direction. And since I'm an MSME now, I actually have full empathy of what they're building. This is very frustrating to keep following up on invoicing, keep figuring out if money is coming, and these guys are solving this problem. I do believe that this segment should do well. I personal view is that it will do better than retail neobanks, but let's see. Verdict is not yet out, and I may not be knowing everything perfectly, but I do believe that SME neobanks are going to do well. And of course, India is not, India is very different, right? Indian banks are not that slow. So we have seen Kotak 811, we have seen DigiBank, we have seen Axis and Yono. If you think about it, SBI launching a platform only for youngsters and so well, right? So all of them are actually entering into digital banking space with their own platforms, where they're not just offering their own services, it's reverse. Through open banking, they're actually offering third-party services as well. So for example, in a Kotak 811, you can actually do maybe a bill payment. You can even do an e-commerce transaction. You can even book tickets. So all of that is possible. So idea is, again, take the customer and give them more experience. And of course, with time, you can actually make much more money. And then this is the surprise element, which is big techs. It's difficult to say PhonePe is a bank or not, because it's a neobank, right? It can do debit credits for you. It can help you in payments. It can also get you lending. It can do all of these things, right? So many products are there on the table out there. And Google and Amazon, all of them are getting into this business. So I think they're also taking banking APIs and using it for the customer side. Of course, many of them started only with UPI, but I do believe they will add more and more services to it as we go forward. And of course, we have just picked up a set of investors who have been promoting this ecosystem, like the way we have Better Capital, Sequoia, Ribbit, all of them are investing in this segment and helping, right? So that's the whole ecosystem structure. This is something you should refer to. You can see it and download from our website. We have a lot of influencer lists and other reports as well on our website. You can always look at it. It's thedigitalfifth.com is the website name. You can go and check that out. These are all based on our understanding of the market, and we have been there sending this. I think our fourth or fifth report or list, and it has been well appreciated by the people. So with this, Shashank, I hand it over to you, and you can run it for next 15-20 minutes, and then we'll do a short session, and then we'll get into Q&A.
Sure, Samir. Request you to just stop sharing from your end so that I can start from my end, and it will help. Sure. And Samir, please make Harshal co-host because
I'll do that.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, friends. Thank you, Samir. In this section, primarily we'll be touching upon deep into the open banking. Now, 15-20 minutes is always very difficult to try to cover about all the aspects of the open banking. So before that, to get into the open banking, let's go back 4 or 5 years. It was like when you talk about the bank's digital strategy, it was primarily driven by that you need to have everything the mobile based, like even if it's the Salesforce, you need to have the mobile apps for the customer, everything need to be there mobile. If you want to loan servicing, loan customer, again, you need to have the mobile. So it was mobile based kind of the digital strategy was there. And now that slowly it started transitioning into the API first kind of approach, that whatever you are developing within the organization, whatever functionality getting built in on that, you need to have the API first. So that at least you don't need to worry about that channels, be it the mobile, be it on the internet, be it on the third party platform. You started relieving yourself from the channel part of it. And then you started looking at how you start building the innovation around the APIs up. Okay, so before I get into the further, I'll just try to define the APIs. Many of you may not have that either touch upon that APIs, what that API is, while most of you may be aware about these APIs, but at least for those who are not aware of the API. So APIs are nothing but a small piece of code which allows the two applications to talk to each other. In very simple word, like one application needs some request, needs some information, data from the second application. The API comes into the play and it's making a request to the second application, and the second application gives the response back. Say, for example, I want to run a balance inquiry for my customer ID 1234. And when it goes to core banking responds back in the API that for the customer ID 1234, this is that balance details are there. So that's where the entire functionality, entire functions within the banks, within that organization started converting into the API, because whatever the function happen, it's all about the communication between two applications to facilitate either the data exchange or making some transaction to happen. Like say, for example, if you want to talk about the payments, so payments also you're passing on some information, and that core banking application takes an action on it. So you're passing the information that you debit this account, credit this account, this is the amount, this is the time. So that's way. So organizations started moving towards the API. So for everything, they started looking at the API. So let's look at, so when you started looking at the APIs, an entire organization started translating into that functionality as APIs, then the genesis of the API banking, or then more transformed word is open banking came into the picture. So open banking is a wider term. You can talk about open API banking, API platforms, whatever you can call it. But let's look at what the open banking is in this brief. So primarily, many times when the customer's having a banking, his data is maintained by the bank. But what happens that whenever he needs an access to the data, be it the balance inquiry, be it statement, he needs to reach out to the bank platforms. Open banking enables that information available from bank to the any other place, be it the third-party platforms, like for example, UPI has enabled you to check your balance from any of the platform, be it Google Pay, be it the Phone Pay. That's a kind of the open banking allows you to play around with help of the APIs. So it helps you to manage your data from anywhere. Now, definitely that need to be a mechanism of the consent and all this, and that's play around. But that's key part of the open banking is to allow the customer to have a control on his data, and he can access the data from any place. Then next, more important, that what are the transactions he needs to do, be it the fund transfer, be it any kind of the transactions, be it on the loan booking, or any kind of even be the address change or some servicing also. Does customer needs to come to the bank platform branches only? Can he do it from anywhere, wherever he is? So that's open banking is allowing him to do the banking services also from anywhere, any platform that he should be able to do that. Now, the most important, we are talking about this all making the data available or making services available from anywhere to any platform. So definitely it involves that use of the technology. There has to be some technology enabling this control of the API, the flow of the data, and then having the collaboration with partner, because now you are talking about that making the banking data of one customer available on the third party. Definitely, who is the third party? What kind of business model the third party will have? So open bankings allow you to manage that this technology layer to allow the API communication and also build a business model along with partnership with a third party, which primarily in today's context, fintechs and the startup. And the last but not the least, since now we are extending the customer data, which is very confidential, this financial information, his personal information, all the data which is lying between the closed data center of the bank. Now you're making the data available on the third party platforms. So you definitely, it's all about making sure that there is a high level of the security, the governance, the compliance is in place. Who is going to use the APIs, what kind of the communication he will make, whether he will have the misuse of the APIs, what if the customer data got compromised. So those all aspects open banking allow you to answer that. So open banking in nutshell, making sure that having the right technology in place, building a business model under the security and governance framework, and make that different services available for the customer at the third party platform. Let's look at it in the wider perspective when it talks about the traditional banking, how does it works, and when you start talking about the API enabled banking, what does it means about it? So when you look at try to differentiate things on the various parameters, so one of the first is the perspective, how the banking works. So most of the traditional banking, I'm not going into the right or wrong. That has been working, it has been working well, and it may be working continue for the longer period. But currently, most of the banking is being decided by the headquarters, like what kind of the products should be there based on the some kind of market survey and all these things. So it's a more like an inside out approach that you decide that what customer may be expecting. While on the open banking, you start looking at the outside in approach. You decide to start looking from the outside, what customer may be looking at, what kind of services he may have that. Like say, for example, classic example, Samir spoke about the bank open. Now, I always talk about this example, and this is one of the widely accepted example in the banking, open banking context, where like customer is having the accounting platform, and there he does the entire business of the account receivable, payables. He issues the invoices to his customer. He raise the purchase order for his vendors and all this thing, and do the banking. Then he has to come to the open banking platform. Why can't he does the banking on the same platform? So it's more like an outside in. He's sitting on his application doing his business. Can he do the business from there? Now next look at the business model. So business model in the traditionally it's about a product approach. Like you need to define the various loan product or the saving accounts. You will have the variants within that based on the rates, parameters, the consumption or all these things. While the open banking always look from the consumption based approach, like what customer may be looking. Like say for example, traditionally you will have the various loan which is asset based. While on the open banking allows you to have the loan on the flow based learning. Like customer is there on the e-commerce site, and then he's trying to purchase a refrigerator which is costing him 40,000, while his budget doesn't allow him to buy that. Can you interfere and can you initiate the entire lending process there through the using all the API mechanism there? So it's all about the consumption based. Another example, it could be the salary loans. Like typically bank will have the salary loans. So while here it's kind of payday, like salary, you may need a salary 2 days in advance. Can he provision in that sense? Then in the product rollout, primarily, traditionally, you operate like various, it will be exhaustive look, like you will have the savings, so classic, platinum, and the various kind of the variants will be there. While in the open banking, you define one product, go into the market, keep on looking that what are the additional functionality, additional services can be built on the top of that layer. So that's why you start looking at that rather than the pushing the entire suite of the banking services on that channel. Because you have that entire the API stack ready. Now, based on the customer consumption and his demand, then you start keeping the iteration. And the org structure also, since it's a partnership-led models, you have the API-enabled model. So org structure will also be keep on changing. It will be more innovation-driven. So you will have that how the innovations being a part of the org structure. Matrices also you will have the variance because normal traditionally you will have the cost income ratio, the credit deposit ratio, and all these various kind of the parameters to monitor the bank performance. While API enabled, you will try to monitor like what is the partners level of the consumer business being done, what is the float income being generated from the partner, how is the API performance there. So that's the different matrices you will be using in the within the open banking. That Samir has spoken to some of this thing in the landscape when he was talking about. So open banking has allowed you to derive various business models. It's like B2B. So traditionally it's either B2B or the B2C. But now it has been the B2B2C, kind of like phone pay and all these things. So phone pay is working with the Yes Bank and providing the services to its customer. Or B2B2B, like it could be the any other thing, providing the services to the business community. Or it's other level B plus B2C, like Bank Open working with ICICI and providing the services of the accounting and the banking on that platform. So that's why you need to look at that, and it allows you to evolve the various business model. Then look at some of the use cases. So one of the first things comes into that definitely is when you build an open banking and the API stack, it allows you to build the various channels. So like the RBL and Yes Bank, that on the payments layer, on the lending layer, that you partner with the various fintechs and a startup and start building the various kind of channels to deliver the services to their customers or to your customers also in a different with different customer experience. And it allows you to, since you have the entire stack built into the API, the security layer, the data consumptions layer has been, it allows you to build on a faster turnaround in the partnership. So for example, like UPI, you have done a partnership on one fintech, it allows you to do the replicate that entire model with the multiple fintechs also. In the lending also, if you have built on a lending partnership and allowing the lending to happen and you playing a role of the lender and furnishing the APIs, if you have done with the one partner, then you can replicate that to the multiple partner, because here APIs allows you to replicate that in a very faster way. Rather, normally it will be one-on-one integration. Normally that takes time to do that. Then this is another classic. Since you have API fired that entire your banking functionality, be it on the liabilities, be into the payments, be it on the loan things, you can build on the top of your own applications and then release. So that's why I was talking about when initially how the transition has happened from mobile first to the API first. That was the key reason. That now since you have the everything in the API, you can bundle out any of the application. Like classic example again, YONO. When the SBI has also started transitioning towards the API led of the business banking services, it helped them to put that YONO as an application for the young, targeting to the young generation. This is always, I find it more beneficial on the when you talk about the API. It's promote the internal innovations. It improves your agility to build faster, change management, productivity improvement, and all these things. So, like I will give example, OTP. So you need to build an OTP layer to the various of the functions, be it on the mobile, be it on the internet, be it on the branch networks. You may need to do that. But once you have developed that functionality within your organization to deliver the OTP and validate the OTP, can you just convert into the API and make this functional available across all the channels? So now you don't need to go through the change management also multiple times. Once you have developed that functionality, get it verified, now you need to make it available for any of the channels or any of the partner to consume that. And that's a classic case has happened on the UPI also. So many of the functionality, once you build and convert into the API, it helps you to do the faster growth. And the last that's also the transitioning when we are seeing as when you are building at the APIs aggregators models are coming up. So what if people are trying to that they're bundling their APIs and making that entire bundle available for the third party to build either new product or new functionality. Like the new otherwise is the InstaRem. So InstaRem has tied up with the banks like DCB and various other functionality and through the APIs and provide the remittance services. Now, what they started doing is they started bundling these APIs and making the same set of the APIs available to their competitors also. Like TransferWise use that entire the backend aggregate API aggregator from the new platform. Like Setu, Yap, and all these guys also trying to do the similar things. And our expectations, as we are talking about in our landscape also, that is going to be more. In the US, you have seen that the Plate getting sold off is because they've been API aggregator model. Or the Galileo, or this is a high in demand. So that will be more coming in the future as an API aggregator platform. So last piece, so I will talk about that. It's how do you go about the setting up your open banking strategy? You may be into the mid of this phase, you may be planning to start, and it could be applicable not only the bank, also the partner when they are looking into build on the neobank platforms and all this thing, and how to build that partnership, how to go about it. So you can apply that entire the process with some tweaking at your end. So first thing first, most important, you need to assess your readiness. What kind of the application set that you have? What are the kind of the API readiness that it has? What kind of the business structure that you have? What kind of the partnership that you have offline mode? What are the fintechs are approaching you? So those are the kind of the readiness you need to look at it. So that's one from the business and the application perspective. Your infrastructure also becomes a very critical role. That is your infrastructure is aligned to support that kind of elasticity and agility to API enabled business. So you do the complete entire readiness assessment. Okay, where do you put that API layer? So that's way. And then the next most important that you need to draw your own landscape. That where are you playing that game in today's India context? That you need to say that who are the players who are working on the open banking, who are the gateway players are there, nothing but the similar things what we projected there. What kind of the business models are being getting created into that liability segment or the lending segment, what kind of OR structures are playing. So you look at that all around what's happening and what are the differentiator that you want to create for yourself. So it's more important that you draw your own landscape. Then you create your own open banking position. Now, once you have seen that how the market is placed, that there are some leading players on the open banking, there are some aggregator models who are playing, there are already some neobanks are players are there, neobanking is saturating up. Then you try to see that, okay, what play that you want to play. So where your strength line, where your customer base is there, what kind of the functionality, that readiness that you have that you can convert into the APIs and you start moving into the partner. What kind of partner you can onboard, be it in the liabilities, be it in the payments, or you want to start with the payment and then gradually move into the other services, or you want to start with the lending. So that's kind of the open banking positioning you need to look at it. Another important component, what will be here, that you need to look at that what kind of business that you want to generate through the APIs. Like, are you looking that, okay, through the API, through the open banking, when you try to partnership with the fintechs and startups, do I need to onboard 30% of my customer acquisition through this mode? I want to have that 35% of increase in the loan book through that loan being serviced from that third party platform. So you need to look at what kind of business also you want to do it through that. Then last, you need to define the roadmap. So, okay, once you have defined that, okay, these are the business model you will go, these are the APIs that you need to develop, the gateway platforms that you already might have deployed or in the process to deploy, that you need to finalize what will the gateway platforms will be there. Some of the core banking internally, your application may have some legacy component. You may need to replace those legacy components so that they support the microservices or the API architecture. So those are the action that you will need to define. And as Samir already spoken about that, you may not start with big bang. It doesn't work into that. So you may start that, okay, I'll start with the payment side of things, because you need to understand that the API's integration, when it works, lots of challenges come. The security issues may come, the governance issue may come, the system breakdown will come, the partnership issue may come. So you start with the step by step, define a short-term to medium-term and long-term goal, and then you start building on it. And the last, go out, roll out, and then go for the partnership model. So this is the just 5-step process. You can just follow. And Samir, so I request you if you can just quick touch upon that. What are the practices that one should follow on the open banking? Samir, you are there? Okay, so I'll continue here. Yeah. So once Samir comes back, then he can take over from. So once you're setting up the open banking, there are some basic things also you need to take care of it. There are some, hello? Yeah.
So
you can take the screen off. Yeah.
Ajay, you're there. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just stop share.
So I think from a best practice perspective, this is again whatever we have done in our prior avatar in the banking world, and also whatever we have worked with multiple banks and fintechs in the last 3 years. This is just based on that. So it's not a bookish stuff. So basically our view is first, build from a revenue perspective. Don't build a open banking framework just to say that we were doing, it's a technology project. If you do it as a tech program, it is 100% bound to go get into a failure mode, because even if you have API frameworks and all of that is ready, it's unlikely to get sold, because every business needs to be sold. It is not that if technology will build it, it'll automatically sell, right? So you need to ensure that business model is built. You have a revenue and cost structure built against it. Work on customer journeys. So don't ever start saying that I will have this offer. Try to see what your customers or maybe third-party customers are there. Maybe if some fintechs are coming to you, talk to them and figure out what they're looking at this. Don't even start saying that I will build these 5 APIs because I think it is right? It may not be the case all the time. Of course, we need to have an API policy in place. So you need to have a framework under which you will work. So it can be how do you provide for it? What should be the key process for it? How do you support? How do you have compliance? Do you need an org structure to support it? All of that is critical for the policy to be, yeah. Of course, whenever we talk about APIs, we need to ensure that security and regulatory frameworks are taken care of. I can assure you that most of these entities in the market are not producing the right level of quality of sort of security. For example, when Shashank runs his cyber security related work with his clients, we realize that so many of them have not done a good job of it. So this is something I request when you're going for open banking practices. If you're a fintech, ensure that you're bank grade ready. And if you're a bank, please check with the fintechs with whom you are working, so that the security levels are taken care of. One single issue can destroy you, right? So the integration of both security and compliance are critical. Focus on your strength. Don't try to do everything. I keep telling everyone, don't do everything. So we are not trying to build a consulting firm. We are focusing only on one segment and saying, this is the only segment we sort of will scale. And of course, we have to realign org structure. So biggest challenge is that salary structures have to be changed, because all those who will come in this structure have to be sharply focused on it. You may not need today. Your teams are in silos, right? Compliance in one silo, ops in one silo. But when you run these kind of operations, you have to bring all of the structures together, because client on the other side actually wants response to be done within 1 second, within less than a second, right? So you can't have an internal structure saying that we will basically review the new process or API request coming from the client side after 3 months, because that's when our change management board, which is the process management board, sits in. So I think we spoke about it, just to give you a perspective that all this is what we sort of train and teach upon in our trainings. We do a lot of trainings on open banking, digital lending and others. For example, last week we had a digital lending session, which was attended by almost 40 odd senior management folks from the market. So again, we have open banking. The last one was massively successful. So if you guys want to join, Shashank, in the interim, you may want to send the link to the team.
Yeah, yes, Samir. The feedback link I'm sending.
Yeah. So what we do is we basically try to deconstruct the whole process. Whatever we are now giving you as an insight, we obviously go in deep into each area from the model perspective, how the money is made, how architecture is done. We all go all the way. So it's not a session for technology, pure. If somebody is looking at pure tech session, it is not a tech session. It's a business come tech session. So if you're a tech guy, you will understand business and tech together. If you're a tech business guy, you will understand of tech of business, this API banking, also the business of API banking. How do you monetize? How do you make it commercially viable? We will obviously talk about open banking frameworks, the way use cases are there, what is happening, not just in India, worldwide, what are the driving factors, and of course, the regulatory compliance. We will put a whole framework including things like Samati. Sessions will be all interactive. So a lot of people told me that this is not going to work. The online sessions are not going to work. It works beautifully. So we typically start at 9 o'clock in the morning, and typically the sessions go all the way till 6. The lunch breaks are typically just 20 minutes because we are working back to back. And then and we have experts coming from the market, right? So we are not saying that we are the only guys. We typically take 30% of the course, and between me and Shashank, and then we have external faculty. I'll give you the faculty for last time. It will be different faculty for each time which comes in, and they're all live wire practitioners. They're not coming from some random backgrounds, right? And then of course, we have evening sessions where the people do projects. These projects run for at least 5 to 6 hours, and which they present back next day. And we actually give a certification behind based on the exam which we take. These are the guys who came in the last session. Of course, we are not coming, the same guys, different set of guys may also come, but we have Ritesh Pai, Nikhil, Anish, all of the leading stalwarts in the market, including investors, sort of join us, and each one of them spend around 45 minutes, around 25, 30 minutes on their presentation on their view, and then of course 15, 20 minutes interacting with the participants. So that's largely what I wanted to talk about. At this point of time, I think I would like to get into a Q&A. And Shashank, if you have access to the Q&A, you can sort of call that out.
Yes, Samir. So there is one question, not yet questions started coming, but one question has come at least the start of the session. So how will account aggregator play in the area of open banking?
So I think it will be as we spoke in our architecture, that will be a leading force, because right now, today, this interaction is done in a very awkward way by screen scraping, or in a very offline way by taking a statement down and reading it. What will happen now is, on the need basis, any of these credit providers, even the wealth providers, can actually get the customer details based on his consent. So they basically, any third-party platform based on his consent can actually reach out to the account aggregator and pull the data. Now, the structure is so interesting that it's not that it's one-time call. You actually can call again and again. There's a frequency which can be attached to it. And based on it, that the entire 360-degree view of the customer will be made available. Funny portion is that in today's world, 360-degree views across insurance, across wealth, across mutual funds, across banks is not available. Even if you and me as individually sit for 2 hours, 20 hours, we may not get the view, because all this data is collated. You need to put into your own Excel. I'm sure all of you must be running your own Excel to do it. So all of these platforms, which when the account aggregator will come, everybody can actually pull data and create their own use cases. So I do believe, based on this, the market will accelerate a lot. While UPI was one moment in our history where things changed, this will be another moment when it will come in, and I do hope that it will come in full avatar in 6 to 12 months.
So a couple of more questions have come in. So I'll just go with. So Money is asking what sort of APIs primary bank are opening up. So I'll just pick it up. So Money. So now some of the banks who are leading on this front on open banking started opening lots of APIs, be it on the liability side to open an account, or on the payment sides or across like IMPS, the UPI, or even the NEFT kind of the APIs are there. On the lending side also, they have started sharing the APIs. So these are all the three areas abroad on the liabilities, the payments, and the lendings. Banks are opening up with their APIs.
Yeah, and just a pointer here, if you're a banker, need not open all APIs, because you will sort of go wide and may not be able to do it everything. You may look at selectively and go in your segment where you believe that you can create value, rather than saying that if Yes Bank has one model, can I copy it? It may not work, because their segment is very different from yours, maybe.
Samir, this is another question. I'm sure you would like to pick it up. Vaibhav Gupta. So challenges which open banking players face from the traditional banks.
If you look at why would you say challenges? Open banks right now in our structure are primarily getting built based on the partnership with banks, right? So I think whenever we say that there are challenges thrown by the banks, we also have to acknowledge that they're offering the service to you and they're your partners. They're going to make money and you are going to make money. The fact of the matter is, this process does take time and you need to have patience, right? So to that extent, I will be very, very clear here that if you expect that you will go to a partner and you will get all the APIs up and running in next 2 months or 3 months, that's not going to happen. That's part one. And in terms of your priority on their platform, I think you have to look at it like this. Can you bring them a books, let's say 500 crores of current account, if you can bring on their platform in next maybe 12 months, they'll be very happy to collaborate. What happens in the early stages, they also don't know how much can you contribute. So there's always an up and down which happens as such. So my request is please have patience in the process. It does take time, and I have been on both sides and I can know the pain which both sides go through. Yeah. Anybody who wants to ask question, please type it into chat. It'll be easier, because if you go and start calling in the session, it'll be very chaotic. It'll become problematic for others to join. So please keep sending the question and we'll keep it picking up.
Another question coming, Devang Laru. So what needs to be done to start alternative credit solutions?
I think this is a very different question to the subject itself. Of course, alternate credit solutions, whichever we think of, can be sort of created based on alternate data, and all this alternate data is primarily to be sort of pulled from other ecosystems. So you can actually pull data based on anything beyond bureau. We did some work with a milk IoT company, used data from a milk IoT business. You can use from any other frameworks as such. And of course, you need a good platform for underwriting, like a Lokiata platform or somebody else, which can actually underwrite based on that data, right? So you need to have partnership or a Synaptic or whichever platform you are looking at. You need a platform on which you can do a great underwriting. So you need an AIML platform. Data can be made available. If you are really looking at it, there are enough providers. They should be able to help you. And if you need help, we can always have a one-on-one chat on that.
Yeah. Samir, Amay Kanikar is asking, so banks are not open with this whole API banking when it comes to liabilities side. If they are, their tech is a challenge. Even if it's not, they are not comfortable with revenue sharing. How will this model sustain?
So to be honest, it will take time, right? It's just that this industry is not very old. I remember the bank open when it started. I think they and us started almost same time, almost 3 years back. It took them almost 1.5 years to crack open the market. So you have to ask this question to Anish much better, where he took 1.5 years, worked closely with their partners and created it. So it's a game of patience. It's not the easiest of the business. You need to work with your banking partner and see how commercial structure can be created. Not every bank has APIs. That's why there are only 5 to 6 players who are making it big, and others are not. So there is definitely a limitation on the number of partners available. But with time, maybe others are also coming on board the way maybe Federal came on board rather quickly. SBM has come off late rather quickly. I do believe in next maybe a year or so, there are new players who are going to come in and sort of accelerate them in the market as well. So it's a game of patience. It's not going to be easy. And in terms of business model, we expect customer bank to give you some revenue. They will give some revenue. I don't know the structure. That's something which you have to create with them. But on top of that, you should be able to create your own revenue structure. Because if you say, I will do sourcing of current account, maybe you can pull off 2,000 to 5,000 or 6,000 rupees as a originating fee. Or maybe they may even do some rev share based on the deposits which are kept. But beyond that, you need to create your own model of creating revenue from based on your customers, which means that you can maybe cross-sell something else to him and make that revenue. So banks may not part with the entire money they're going to have. Liability side, all banks love current account. Maybe in that side, they will give you some percentage, 0.5% or 2%, whatever it is. And the other side, which comes to the maybe FD and all, they are not going to part with much because there's very little margin on the FD side.
Samir, so in fact, just to add to that also, Samir, on the liability side, at least the action has started seeing on the FD fixed deposit or the recurring deposit booking kind of thing, like Neo. If you look, the Neo has started working to allow the customers to start booking the FD using the APIs from the bank and allow the customer to book the FD. So that's some use cases started coming up. So next question, Samir, Abhishek Modi is asking, what are the open banking and e-commerce collaboration use cases where open banking, fintechs, and the likes of Amazon may possibly collaborate?
Okay, so one request again, please give your feedback. Maybe you guys can check how many feedbacks come. This feedback is very powerful to us. We keep enriching our sessions based on that. From Shashank, I just lost the thread.
No, Samir, so there was a question on the e-commerce and the open banking.
Okay. So basically, this is one of the most powerful sort of collaboration possible. You have to realize that finally the customer never looks at banking or never looks at the payment transaction or even the lending transactions or even the insurance. It is always linked to an activity which the customer is doing, right? So he's buying, therefore he needs a loan. He's buying, therefore he buys a mobile phone and therefore needs an insurance for that. Or he also buys something and therefore he needs loan for it. Now, if you are embedding yourself in the customer journey, so one of the points which Shashank told about is that there's a product view and a customer consumption view. It's a consumption view. You are going where the customer is. Customer is right now buying a product, and therefore he needs an API for sort of buy. I mean, he needs payment for it. So basically UPI or something else, or maybe he needs money, right? Which means that you need to underwrite him on real time, and should be able to give them loan. Now today, Amazon and Flipkart have done fabulous stuff. While nobody thinks of them as a fintech, but I do believe they may be the largest in the segment right now. If not the largest, maybe the amongst the largest, top three, I guess so.
Yeah, thanks, Abhay. Harish is asking question. Can you focus a bit on the sandbox and the dev portals? So yes, I'll just pick it up. So Harish, sandbox and developer portals play a big role to allow you to demonstrate to the market that what are the APIs are available with you, and it helps the fintechs and the partners to connect on using your APIs and play on the sandbox. It helps with the innovation and the turnaround time of it. And also now I'll just try to highlight about one of the key initiative in the industry. Like now most of the banks have their own sandbox on the developer portal where they list down their APIs, making it available for the third party. NPCI is working on to their own API sandbox, which is like marketplace sandbox where they are trying to host the APIs from the various other API providers. And that's primarily again to allow the fintechs to go and see that what are the APIs are available and try to build on a new business models and build the product and then go for the testing phase of it.
Okay, thanks.
And yeah, Samir, yes, one more question. Padmani Koteshwaran, so do you have any statistics of any particular bank which has introduced open banking and customers have provided their consent for the same and are using it?
No, I think let's look at it. I think all open banking use cases right now which are live are around that, right? So if you look at Neo, Neo has been there in existence for many years, and that is in partnership with DCB or Yes Bank. They have been doing this business for years. Now we have Payoneer by partnering with the SBM to do the same business, or Open has been doing this business for a long time with ICICI. So all of them are doing a legally correct business, and they are doing with consent from the customer side. I mean, I would love to give my consent to if my bank can offer me end-to-end services in partnership with fintech, because that's as a SME, that's what my pain point is. So all of them are doing it. Anybody who's going to build a new bank is going to use these frameworks only. They can't really work without that. And of course, if you look at the other way around, when you look at open payment gateway, when in payment gateway transactions happen, that's all similar by nature, right? In payment gateway, you give consent to debit the account, but finally consent is given, which is actually internet banking ID and password is given. You always do consent, and that's how the transaction happen. When you use your ATM in third-party devices and you put your own PIN, that is also a similar framework, right? It's actually, it has been in existence for many years. Just one pointer again. All of this and more, we will be taking a session on 25th and 26th of July. My team and my team, I mean, Srikanth and his team will actually reach out to you if you guys are interested. We would love to get you onboarded on these sessions. We do every month, 1 or 2 unique sessions, and would love to have you on board as well. Yeah, so let's continue.
Yeah, Samir. Sanket Takalkar is asking, are there any regulations surrounding open banking in India? So definitely no specific as such on the open banking, but it's a more of the market-driven open banking in India. But now definitely most of the regulations you need to adhere when you are opening up your banking APIs like say KYC or AML. Those all things anyway has to be adhered. But like unlike to UK open banking or the PSD2 or the CDR in Australia, we don't have any specific regulations.
In fact, this is more detailed when Shashank, I think when you were taking this session, maybe you can go more specific in the discussion. So it's a good feedback. I think that we should go, when we take this open banking session, we should go more into regulatory side as well.
Yes, Amir. And in fact, so we covered in the more details, what are the regulations are there. In fact, we go deeper into the data protection bill also, because which is also next on the corner, and how it will have the impact on the open banking.
Okay.
So Varun Magun is asking, is there an example of neobank that is profitable even globally, and the role of open banking that help in its profitability?
I think I'll put it like this. If in the initial stage, and I'm being very honest about in the initial stage, if your business is profitable, then you're not growing, right? So people should never look at it only from profitability perspective. One of the challenges which we have from a bit of a legacy framework is we expect the companies to turn profitable in a year or two. If you do turn in a profitable in year or two, you actually will get localized, right? You will not going to expand on your own. So so my pointer is always that if you look at profitability, maybe unit economics can be done rather quickly in many businesses. But when the challenge is only when you scale, you have to keep investing. Let's put it like this: we have been in business and we have been profitable from day one. But the fact of the matter is, we are not building a J curve, right? So when you're looking at J curve, obviously profitability is an issue. We are running a sustainable, profitable business with a sort of this growth, not a J curve. Therefore, we can do it because we are careful with it. But when you're looking at that core, I mean, we are now just 11-member team, right? And 11-member team just focus on this. If we were to make it a 100-member team and not just banking, we could have entered others. We obviously would have lost money. So you have to always look at it like that. First year or second year, nobody can make profit if you are growing at that pace.
So next, Raj Avasthi, so he's asking, do we see any open banking guidelines and standard coming out in India?
I think it will come. One side is for sure for Sehmati or for basically account aggregator. There is a API framework which has been created. You can also look at it like UPI was actually built by NPCI. There was a API structure to it. But as such, I do believe that at least it'll take a year or two before standardization will kick in. We have been a big promoter of a standardization primarily. For example, from a lending side, we have always said that the country needs National Lending Corporation of India, because while there's so much of focus on payments, we are saying that there should be a second payment agency and third payment agency, but there's nobody creating a single framework for lending. So imagine the day you have a UPI for credit, right? There's a framework to it on which UPI plus maybe CIBIL score or some other scores can be built together, and you actually can offer loan to anyone without going to the banking world, right? I can ask loan from you, Shashank, without you and me knowing about it. As long as you know my score, you should be able to give it, right? So I do believe it'll take some time, maybe a year or two down the line, we should have something coming in.
Next question coming from Kunal Verma. Under open banking, would the next revolution in trade finance would be through tokenization to eliminate physical documentation?
No, I totally believe that the biggest thing which should happen in next maybe 2-3 years is the fintechs have always taken a route of, let's say, as maybe MSME, and they've taken a focus primarily on the retail side. That's where the focus has been, and therefore banking world has remained untouched on the trade finance side. Very limited digitization has happened. Most banks may not even have proper APIs for it. Now I do, and there's dependency of too many elements. There is this supply, this shipping stuff and all. Actually, we did work something on this so our view is that on trade finance side is a next big complex world to be sort of solved. Trade finance and treasury are two areas where not much has happened. Even the corporate finance, if you look at corporate business itself, so corporate loan process, it's still on Excel. All of these will get solved. The fact of the matter is that since fintechs have not entered because they may not know these subjects, and those who know these subjects are not coming out of banks and setting it up, we are in a sort of complicated world. Hopefully in next 2-3 years, we are a big proponent of talking about that this is the segment which everybody should focus on. Everybody focus on the simpler stuff. I mean, I do believe that there are enough and more neobanks getting built for let's say young students and all. I think there's a time for build something for really complex world where there's not going to be enough competition. I don't think more than 2 or 3 banks or neobanks can actually build anything of significance in this segment. So there is if you are building that, I think you're in good position.
Samir, before I just go into the next question, again, I'll request all the participants, please take out the time and give your feedback. That's very critical for us to realign our deck and contents for the next webinars. Please. Yeah.
How many have come till now?
Harshal, can you say?
Till now, we have got 6 fintechs.
Yeah, I request is that we have been sort of talking for almost an hour. My request is if you guys can give the details back, it'll help us in improving it. So I think I'll keep requesting you to do that. It helps us in improving. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the other questions?
Yeah, so we have a flood of it, and I think we may not be able to touch upon. I always say open banking 1 hour is always not a good time. So Bharat Belur is asking, do you think open banking could be a threat to the banks in the future? As in, if the banks don't open up APIs, they could be wiped out.
I think wiping out is a big statement to make, but I do believe that first there is this world, there's a divide that there's a PSU and private sector. We always believe the MNC will do better. Then over a period of time, the issues kept on adding, and then finally PSU sector obviously had a bigger impact because of NPS and went to one path, right? And private sector kept on growing. Now, if you don't go digital and you don't have open APIs, and if you don't partner, over a period of time, you will not be able to sustain the growth pace, right? For example, if 30% of business is coming through partners, you may not be able to grow if you're not getting that number, and your competitor is, of course, they will do much better than you. So request is that if you not doing it already, please offer these services. Please use these services right away. Start with one area, one pointer. If you don't do it after 3 to 5 years, I do believe you'll be in bad position. Will you get wiped out? It's a bigger statement, but it'll take time. Maybe it'll take maybe 7 to 8 years or 10 years for you to get wiped out if you're not going digital, because your cost income ratio will go for a toss. Somebody else who's more efficient will be obviously able to do a much better job. And the moment you go digital and open banking comes in, typically the cost income ratios improve dramatically. And that has been the case, which we have seen all the time. Most banks who are got efficient in this segment have much better cost income ratio.
Samir, Satyajit Das is asking how to go for open banking training or a course, comprehensive course.
So I think, so we run these courses for exactly 2 days, flat one. So we start in the morning and almost, it's actually a 16 to 18 hours course. And it's all intense. It's all one-on-one, right? So the point is that we are not saying that we will not talk to you. We will talk to you. Our partners, our leaders who come in will talk to you. They will actually take questions from you. So it's an engaging session. And some of you would have, I'm sure I can see some of you have already joined our sessions earlier, know how tough it is, right? Where you are saying that, boss, yahi karna hai. And after 2 days, many of you will come back saying that, yeah, 2 din pura ho gaya. It's tough. But the fact of the matter is these 2 days will change you. If we take the same session slowly, may not work. So I think the pointer I have for you is 2 days the right module? Impact wise, yes. But of course, if your schedule is different, we are actually building a longer course. And the brochure should be out in a week's time or a couple of weeks' time. We are building a big course starting in October, which is actually a 4 months course, where we will be taking sessions every week, anywhere between 4 to 8 hours every week. So that it'll be a slower program, but we'll be covering fintech, open banking, cybersecurity, and blockchain. So we'll go, the whole domain is what we are going to capture. We'll be doing almost maybe around 80 to 90 hours is what we have planned right now. And the details will be coming in soon. So somebody's asking me just now, what is the value of the certification itself? So this is funny, right? So I'll tell you the history. So we started giving certification almost 3 years back, 2.5, 3 years back. Yes, July of 2017. That's when we started our masterclasses. And after 2 or 3 sessions, I said, maybe our certification are not enough value. I'm talking 2017. And we did not give it for one particular batch. Only one batch we did not give. And there's so much of pullback from our participants that we had to actually issue these, because a lot of people have got used these certifications for getting their own roles done. I do know that many of these, current participants, I would be honest that we have trained almost 2,500 people till now. And a good number of them have moved on and changed their roles, have become CXOs in their own domains. Many of them started their own companies. So I would say that good 5% of the Indian sort of senior management or founders have gone through our sessions. And even many of the HRs look at our certificate very well. So I think don't doubt about it. We also trained last year, 2018, almost 100 students on a very long course in partnership with the online platforms. And it went off well as well. So I think our certificate has value because we are the only guys focusing on only one segment, and that adds value. The other question somebody is asking, that is that the only session we do? No, beyond open banking, we do digital banking. We also do digital transformation related focused strategy focused session. We also do digital lending sessions. So we are doing each
cybersecurity too, and
cybersecurity as well. Cybersecurity as well, which I think we did almost 3 weeks, 4 weeks back. So we do all the courses as of now. I don't know if I missed something. It's already 3 o'clock, I guess.
Okay, 4 o'clock. Yeah, Samir. And we still have a couple of more questions.
So let me try to answer them. Let's just do it, because I think if they are there, we can do at least first. But how many responses have we got till now? Harshil, can you just check?
So we have got around 9 responses.
Okay. Guys, please help us. If you don't give a response, how will you proceed, right? So that's useful. We already have. So with this, maybe let's do a few more questions, Shashank.
Yeah. So one question Ashish Anand is asking. So I'm not sure he's still there in the room. On the revenue model front, what are the pros and cons of fintech building APIs and get a small fee from banks or transaction vis-a-vis creating a FLDG-driven AUM play?
I think FLDG related AUM play will be there on the lending side for sure, right? But for others, you should be able to make some money out of it both ways, right? So if you look at, if you are selling wealth to their customers, you should be able to offer, take some revenue out of it and part with it for the customer, for the bank as well. So you are generating revenue. So say 100 rupees. Reverse is true. You are actually parting money with the banks, right? So it's not one way, it's actually two ways. And you should be able to do it, right? If you look at FLDG, that's only pertinent for lending, and FLDG is required, right? Why would the bank take the whole risk on you, right? What if you get a wrong people in? Because you control the customer much more than the banks do, right? You are touching the customer. Anything else, Shashank?
Yes, Amir. Akash Gupta is asking, what is your opinion on common API standard in India, with so many players generally have their proprietary APIs? I think we are touched upon. Yeah.
I think we have already responded. Time lagega isme, jaldi se nahi hoga. It won't happen immediately. Finally, India mein, there's only one way it works. It will not be through entities doing on their own. I think it will be RBI or NPC or somebody like that, a government entity which will come in and help. Right? It is always like that. We always believe that I don't believe in the world where blockchain happens. We are saying everybody is outside the control of the central banks. I do believe that if government kicks in, India's innovation has happened on basis of NPCI, on basis on base of UIDI. These are all government entities supporting that structure, right? So we just really have to realize that they will come in and solve. Hopefully, they do soon rather than later.
So, Samir, one last one is there. I think the very straight question. Let's see. Praveen Ray, what is the process to get API for account opening, and which bank is the best to apply to get this API without much hassle?
अरे इतना आसानी से हो जाता तो सब घुस जाते थे ना, right? So it's a fact that you have to build your own use cases. If somebody is easy to work with you, we have to see they all, one, they will have a long queue. Second is why would they part with you, right? कई बार I've seen that a lot of founders come and say यार वो वाला बैंक साला देता नहीं. I mean, what is his job? His job is to give you APIs and then you will forget, right? So the point is, it's a two-way street. You should be able to offer something which is very, very powerful, and then he will take it. Now you may say that, why are they not supporting me? I'm a small entity, and why are they not supporting me? Okay, how many of you will give me $1 million? You won't, right? Or how many of you will give me, let's say, $100,000? Nobody will give me, right? The point is you have to earn for it, right? So if you bring knowledge, you bring scale, you bring innovation, something like that, they'll start working with you. They should be able to see dollars, right? I have been part of taken the role of CTO and the digital head, and I've worked with the market. A lot of entities we started with in 2016 or 15 or 16 when the fintech movement started in India actually just did not have the second round of discussion because after the first pitch they vanished. So you have to realize the frustration of bankers as well, because you meet today, everybody wants to build a neo bank because few of them are successful right now. So I think you need to build your use case, get actually put some money behind it. If you go with just idea, it won't work. I don't think the banks are okay to listen to you if you just have idea. And if you're just idea, if you're backed by maybe $10 million, I think everybody will talk.
Yes, Samir, check at your end in case if there are any questions. I think we are also at the end of the session.
No, I think many of them are saying the session was good, useful and all.
Yeah,
Let me try to see.
We are getting that feedback on the chat.
That's what.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your encouraging words.
Yeah, I think I'll take the last question saying neobanks have not made money globally. Why will it be different in India? I think as I told, we take these calls at a different point of time, and sitting outside, we may realize that they are not doing well. Come join and I don't know if you are an entrepreneur or not. If you are, you will realize what it takes to build it. It's a very tough journey, and it looks easier from outside. And I'm not talking about fintechs, I'm not talking about open banking, any segment, right? You look at any segment, it does take some time to build. Imagine that P2P lending business is not built by any of these giants, right? Reliance could have opened the open platform or other P2P platform. Nobody has done it. These young guys are building it. Now, after 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years, they'll become giants, right? Then that's when you will realize it will take time. It's still in the infancy, and we should not try to look at it differently. Give them time, they will do a good job of it. I do believe so. I think with this, we will close on it. I think Gargi is asking how to register for workshop. I think if you, my team will actually reach out to you. Shrikant will reach out to you and talk to you if you would like guys want to join. And the process is very simple. They will send you the details of the brochure they will send, and then reach out to you and talk to you. And if you are comfortable, you can always come on board. We typically work with a 35 and lesser number of participants. We never want to go beyond that. And typically we close this by Tuesday of next week, right? So if you want to join us now, because once we reach 35, we cut it off and we will plan next time. We really don't want to handle a very large set of participants in the room. So the seats are only 35. I think my understanding is around, I think 12 or 13 are right now pending to be closed, right? That's where we are right now. Yeah, so that's how you should do it. Otherwise, there is all Shashank, you can also type in the URL. It'll be easier for people to figure out if they want to go online and see more details of it. They can do that. I think Padma has also given a positive feedback. Thank you. Thank you. Anything else I can cover in last 1 minute? I can't, I guess. I can't see any more question. I think we have covered almost everything. With this, we close. Thank you guys for almost 70 minutes with us. I hope this will be useful for the ecosystem. And I do believe that this is the world where the market is going to change, and all of you will be part of it. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.